Hey there, Seb the Realtor here. In this video, I'm going to address the topic of overpaying for homes in the Bay Area. If you are a home buyer in the Bay Area right now, you're probably worried about paying too much for a home. If so, then you definitely want to watch this video. You know, in the Bay Area, it's actually very common for people to overpay for homes. And what do I mean by overpay for homes? Well, there's different ways you could interpret that, but maybe the number one way is simply paying more than list price for a home. It's actually very common in the Bay Area to pay more than list price for a home. It depends on the market segment and the kind of market it is and amount of inventory and all that stuff, but it is not uncommon in the Bay Area for in any one given location or a county or a city for 50% or 60% or sometimes even like 70% of homes to sell for more than list price. That is very common. Actually, it's pretty rare for a home to sell exactly at list price. Maybe only like 5 to 10% of the time does a home actually sell exactly for list price. It's almost always over or under list price. But why is that? Well, it all comes down to the very simple law of supply and demand. So homes will sell over list price when there is competition among buyers for that home. If the buyer is in a situation where there are other buyers competing and everyone is putting in offers at the same time, the seller is going to work the buyers against each other to get that price up as high as the market will bear. So if you are a buyer and there are other buyers for that same home and the home is newly on the market, say within a week or two, it is almost guaranteed. Of course, there are no guarantees in life except for death and taxes, but it's almost guaranteed that you are going to pay over list price for that home. You're going to overpay for that home. But how much are you going to have to overpay for that home? Well, sometimes the average can be as high as 5% or even close to 10% on average is how much you will pay over listing price for a home. And sometimes it can be that you will have to pay 20% over list price or 30% over list price or maybe 40% over list price. In fact, there are situations where you might have to pay 100% over list price because it all comes down to how much list price is relative to the amount of demand that there is for that property. Many listing agents will intentionally set the list price of the home below what they expect it will sell for. And surprise, I am one of those listing agents. I always recommend that my clients list their homes for less than what they expect it to sell for. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Number one is that you could be wrong. Oftentimes when people are guessing how much their home is going to sell for, they guess high. And if you list your home at that price, you are almost for sure going to get less money for it than if you were to price it lower to begin with. So that's number one reason, is that overpricing your home is the kiss of death and it will result in a seller getting less for their property. And number two is because when you underprice your home, what you have is this magic effect of competition where buyers come out in droves and they compete against each other rather than negotiating against the seller. They compete against each other to see who can offer the seller the best combination of price and terms. So it is very common in a situation like this where sellers will get offers that are oftentimes well in excess of list price. So not just 1%, not just 2%, but easily 5% or 10% or 20%. I mean, it's very common to have homes sell for multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars over list price. And if you are new to the Bay Area housing market, or maybe you haven't bought a home here in a while, you may be surprised by just how strong the competition is. But it really shouldn't come as any surprise because we are in the Bay Area, which is like ground zero for countless amazing ways that our whole economy and society is being transformed by the innovation that happens right here in the Bay Area. In other words, there's a lot of people who have a bunch of money in the Bay Area, and there's just too much money chasing too few homes. So don't be surprised when you have to end up paying 10, 20, maybe 30% over list price for the house you want, or $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 $100,000 or more above list price to get into a home in the Bay Area. But you should realize that in most of these cases, the listing agent and the seller did intentionally price the home below market value. But I know what you're saying. You're saying, Seb, I get it. I know I'm going to have to pay more than list price, but I don't want to have to pay way over the amount that I have to pay because, in the Bay Area, generally speaking, at least early on in the bidding process, you don't know what the other bids are. You could be $50,000 or $100,000 above the next offer right behind you, but you'll never know that. And a lot of people are worried about simply paying a huge amount over the next competing offer because most of the time they don't even know what that competing offer is. And I get that, and that is a concern, and that could happen. But it's a funny thing. When I go and I look at some of these sales where the price is high, like really high, like higher than I would have expected it to be, which actually often is the case when I myself am the listing agent and I engineer one of these bidding wars and I get a lot of people competing against each other and the price is like really high. A funny thing happens is that after that, other homes in the neighborhood jump up in price as well. They start selling at around the range of that at really high sale price, or oftentimes even higher than that range, because what's going on usually when there is so much competition for a property, especially one that doesn't seem to be really anything below market value, that it's a sign that the market is actually going up. And so while it seems like you are overpaying, maybe even by a lot, it will turn out in retrospect that actually at the time you paid about fair market value for that price, because shortly thereafter other homes started selling at that price and even higher. And that is the funny thing about overpaying for a home, because if that home was listed for sale on the open market, which is where you're competing with these other buyers, and you are a buyer on the open market and you're not under any kind of duress and the seller isn't under any kind of duress, right? The price that you arrive at with the seller, that actually is fair market price. So even though you might be paying 200, 300, 400,000 or however many percent over list price, that price, the price that you buy it for, that is then fair market value by that definition. So actually, if you're buying on the open market, it's almost impossible to overpay for your home because you are paying the market price. Don't worry about overpaying for a home in the Bay Area. Worry much more about getting a home that you love, a home that you're going to be happy to own, that you're going to be comfortable with for at least the next 10 years. Because like I tell people, buying a home, it's a major commitment. It's like getting married. It's not something you should plan on doing for the short term. Real estate really works best as a long-term investment. Nobody ever got rich selling real estate. They got rich buying real estate and holding on to it. There are always two best times to buy real estate. It's 20 years ago and today. So don't worry about overpaying for your home. It may seem like a lot of money today, but when I talk to Bay Area homeowners who have owned their homes for 30 years, 40 years, longer sometimes, I always ask them, so when you bought your home, did it seem like a lot of money? And almost invariably they say, yeah, it seemed like a lot of money then. Now it seems like it was really cheap, but yeah, actually it did seem like it was a lot of money then. And I get it, housing is less affordable than it's ever been. Yeah, I understand that, but that is not going to change, I don't think, anytime soon. Certainly, I don't think within our lifetimes. All right, well, that's all I have for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. Thank you so very much for watching. And if you did enjoy it, I'm guessing that you might also enjoy some of these videos over here. These are some of the most popular videos here on my YouTube channel, so please do take a look. All right, that's all I have for this video. Thanks again for watching, and please stay tuned.